The artificial intelligence industry is expected to grow at a rate of 42% over the next 10 years according to Bloomberg, and according to PwC, it will have a market value of $15.7 trillion by 2030. This means one thing: you can get rich with it. And to do that, you have to invest in it. But you can't be too late to the party, because AI is already impacting our everyday life. And as a result, the market value of AI companies is already growing a lot, and you would miss out on a lot of money. That's why I've analyzed for myself which are the best AI stocks, and I want to share them with you. Let's immediately start with my favorite, because this stock actually has the potential to dominate the whole AI industry. So hear me out, and we'll start with the numbers, with the financial numbers, because they are the basis and they are impressive. Because imagine that just the price of the stock over the last 5 years has grown by 287%, which means that in just 3 years you would almost have the triple of the money that you invested in it. And if we look at the most important financial numbers, we can see that the owner's earnings of this company has grown by 20% per year, where the owner's earnings are as defined by Warren Buffett, the money that the owner would bring at home every year. And this actually means that it's like if you had a salary increase of 20% every year. That's just enormous. Then you have to add to that all the different financials are good, the ROA, the price earnings ratio. And if you analyze in depth all of these financials, you can actually calculate the intrinsic value of this company, and you see that it is actually undervalued. And this means that this company is very good to buy at the moment. And so the basis of this company, the financial basis of this company is just amazing. But the most important thing is how they prepared for the future. Because through many acquisitions, now they have the best competences in the world of artificial intelligence. And to that you have to add a structure which is made to dominate the market. And so the company I am talking about is Microsoft, because let's see now the acquisitions that they made. Let's start with the most recent one, which is Activision Blizzard, which is one of the biggest video game companies in the world, and they produce games like Call of Duty and the World of Warcraft. And why is this acquisition so important in this sense? Because actually the gaming industry will probably be the first one in which the metaverse will be deployed. And as artificial intelligence, this is a field that will grow immensely in the future, and so Microsoft already has a good base for also this type of product. But then they also bought Nuance, which is one of the biggest AI software producers, and they are producing software since a long time now. And then also Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI, which is the creator of ChatGPT. And so the direction taken by Microsoft is very clear: buy the others and develop the best technology possible. But this doesn't stop here, because what makes the difference are the people. Without the good people, a company will never work. And Microsoft, the management of Microsoft, knows that very well, and that's why they hired people like Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, which are the ex-CEO and ex-president of OpenAI, which means that they now have some of the best competences in the world of artificial intelligence. And this is an amazing competitive advantage. And so Microsoft has everything to grow in this industry, as well as they have the strategy and the money to buy and acquire the new competences in this world. And what they are doing is actually that they are linking all of these new products with their core business. And so that's why we can see now that Bing is integrated with ChatGPT, the Office suite also, as well as Windows, LinkedIn, and the whole cloud and Azure. And the amazing thing is that all of these softwares are something that everybody in the world use every day. And so basically Microsoft already has everything that they need to do exactly what they want with AI. And this is why it is safe to assume that Microsoft will stay one of the leaders of the technology industry for at least the next 20 years. And this is also why it is my favorite stock in general. And if you want to see a more accurate analysis of Microsoft, you can watch this video. But let's now go to the second stock, which is actually a company that has even more potential to grow than the Microsoft. And it is a company that can train its own AI much better than the other companies, because they have access to a massive quantity of data, which the others don't. And the most important thing is that all of this data is coming from public posts and comments. Because yes, I'm talking about Meta. Because think that in average, more than 3 billion people per day connect to one of Meta's softwares. And over a month, there are more than 4 billion people That's just enormous. Imagine that it is 10 times the population of the US, and it is half of the world population. That is something that nobody else has. Because nobody has access to all of this personal data. Clearly, I'm talking about the public one, with which you can train your own AI. And this is a massive competitive advantage. Because it is likely that this AI trained on this data will be able to much better understand the humans. And even though they haven't used this data yet to train their own AI, they've already built an AI tool called Llama, which has already almost reached the performances of ChatGPT 4. And this is amazing. And you also have to know that Meta is already using AI tools to increase the time on the phone, on the device from its users. And if you think about it, it's actually massive for Meta, because the more time you spend on Facebook, the more ads you will see and the more money they will get. And so this is already a great improvement that Meta has made. But let's see at the overall strategy for AI that Meta is applying, because it is very well thought and also with a goal to be the leaders in 5-10 years. And this starts with having a great computational power. And that's why they bought more than 600,000 of the best NVIDIA GPU, because they really want to be ready to whichever development artificial intelligence will have. And this is something that actually the other companies are not doing. And then the second and very important part of their strategy is actually that they are making their AI tools open source. And this is a big difference compared to ChatGPT, for example. And they also made that to favor innovation, because there are many benefits of having an open source software. Because thanks to all the feedback from the users, from the developers, as well as of all the scrutiny that there will be, Llama will get safer, more efficient and more secure for everyone. And all of this means a faster development. Because imagine that you have a population of 1 million people that can act and give feedback and improve this open source software. It will be much faster than having a team of 10. And that's what Meta is pointing at, because that's their way to get ahead of the competition. And moreover, open source historically is something that has always attracted more talented engineers, because they prefer to work on something which is open source rather than something which is very strict. And this can favor even more the development of Llama in this case. And also, why are they doing something open source that everybody can use and actually download for free? It is because Meta's competitive advantage is not the technology. They don't care about the technology in itself, because their competitive advantage is the data that they have and with which they can train their own AI. And this is massive. And so thanks to being open source, you can actually download the Llama on your desktop. You don't have to access to the OpenAI website like for ChatGPT. As said, it is free. It already has performances which are better than ChatGPT 3.5. And for example, any company could just download it and create its own AI based on Llama. And again, this will favor so much the development of Llama. This also has to be considered a competitive advantage that Meta has. And so the company is clearly focused on these new technologies. That's why they changed the name from Facebook to Meta, because their objective is to connect people. And with all the effort that Meta is also putting in developing a metaverse and being in a great position for that to be the leader, thanks to its enormous community of, as we said, of more than 3 billion people. And they want to connect all of these 3 billion people while also using AI. And this, if you think about it, means just one thing, that they will find amazing ways to monetize all of these people, and so to increase their revenue enormously. But let's also now see a little bit of the numbers, because they're, as always, very important. And the first thing that you see if you go to the annual report of Meta is that the daily average people using one of Meta's social networks is increasing, as well as the number of monthly active people. As well as you can see that the revenue per user is growing. And these are very good signals that the people is still using these social networks and that it is growing. And if we actually look also at the pure financials, we can see that 2022 was a very difficult year for Meta, but 2023 was very good. And the overall trend over the last 10 years is actually very good. It's impressive because the revenues are always growing. And nowadays Meta is making much more money than Amazon, for example. As well as the owner's earnings, which are extremely important to analyze, have a very good trend, positive trend. And so the stock also grew 186% over the last 5 years, despite having this terrible 2022. Which, if you think about it now, is actually a great opportunity because it means that the stock at the moment it's extremely undervalued. And so the buy price is extremely good. And all of these make Meta a very good stock to invest in, especially if you want to focus on the AI development as well as the metaverse development. Because the numbers are continuously improving, the strategy is there, and again, the competitive advantage they have is just enormous. And so if you find this type of analysis interesting and helpful, subscribe to the channel also to have other analysis like this one. But let's go to the third one, which actually is not a stock. Because yes, investing in one only stock can make you a lot of money, but it's also riskier because you're not actually diversifying it. So if you want to have a more conservative portfolio, you should buy an ETF because they're made for that, to reduce the risk and to be very diversified. And so I've analyzed many ETFs for artificial intelligence, and it was actually difficult to find a good one because most of them are betting on small companies which are uniquely based on AI, which yes, they could grow and generate immense value, but since they are that small, it's very difficult to understand if they will be leaders and if they will actually grow in the future. And that's why in general I prefer to work with big companies because they have another type of historic and solidity. And it is much easier for a big company to continue to innovate and stay a leader in the market. And so finally I found this ETF, which is in my opinion actually very good because it is composed as I would have liked it. So with companies like Microsoft and Meta, but also like Nvidia, Alphabet, Amazon and many others. And actually if you look at the performances, this ETF has beaten the Standard & Poor's 500 for the last 5 years. And it has a return of 118% over these 5 years, which for an ETF it's extremely good. And so this ETF is AIQ, the Global X Artificial Intelligence and Technology ETF. And so the composition, as said, is very good because it is very diversified amongst the big companies. And this means that whichever will be the leader of the market amongst these companies, you will have it. And so this is a rather safe way to invest in the artificial intelligence market. The major drawback of this ETF is actually that the expense ratio is rather high at 0.68, but it is also the only ETF that is offering such a composition. And so if you want an ETF for AI, this is a fair price to pay, to be honest. But despite being AI a sector which will grow enormously over the next years, there still is an ETF which is destroying all of these performances. And it will definitely continue to do the same over the next years. And so if you want to invest in it, watch this video. Thank you for watching and see you soon.